Namaste, Jai Bharat. They call it as Communist China. Are they communists today? Obviously, everyone would say no. Those who understand a little bit of communism would naturally say no. The communists, nowadays in Bharat, there are no communists except some in Kerala pockets. Of course, Kerala there are many communists. And the Kerala communists are very close to Chinese communists because they are in Communist Party for their own better existence. China, the Communist Party is Communist Party, which really lives up to the spirit of Marxism, the theory of socialism, Marxian theory of socialism, not communism. These are two different things. Socialism is supposed to be dictatorship of proletariats. Till the point of revolution in communism, in Marxian theory, the society is divided into classes. And once they are divided into classes, one class interest is antagonistic to another class interest. That's also Marxian principle. These are the postulates of Marx. This postulates upon which he is building his theory. So the interest of one class is necessarily antagonistic to another class. Of course, he talks about the bourgeoisie's interest and the proletarian interest, and he also has envisaged a buffer class which is petit bourgeois. That's details, not necessary for this discussion. So, because the class interests are always contradicting and conflicting, now contradiction is a theory upon which Marxian dialectics goes forward, and Marx is understanding social movement through dialectics. So the contradiction is a principle without which his dialectics cannot function. Contradiction and conflict. I won't go into details anyway. So this thing goes on till the point of revolution, and suddenly revolution takes place. And if revolution takes place, the society that comes after revolution is supposed to be a classless society. But it is not a classless society, as Marx himself says. It's a one-class society. It's a class of only the proletariats, the working class. The bourgeois elements are still there, dormant, or it has to wither away in time. And the bourgeois element, once it is completely withered away, and only the proletarian class really shall be existing, then only they can think of moving into communism. And communism and socialism are two different economic systems, and I'll explain. I'll just say in one word. The economic principles in socialism is to everybody according to his work, and in communism it is to everyone according to his need. In socialism, as you work he will get, and in communism, whether you work or not, when you are in need you will get. Now that's a great difference in the principles of Marx. So that's really what makes communism, and a beautiful kind of thing. So people in Kerala, there were some communists still left, they sing glory of communist China. But of course they themselves became renegades. And other than in state of Kerala, there are only some Marxists who are called as armchair Marxists, theoretical Marxists. You find those people all over in the media, in the press, and in academia. You find them. They are all armchair Marxists. They don't sweat. They speak and they speak for others, not for themselves. Theoreticians, and they of course post themselves to be scholars or whatever, and they do analysis using Marxian tools. They believe that that's the best way of analysis. I don't think so. Because Marx claims totalistic understanding, totalistic evaluation, all those things there. Very beautiful thinking. That's what I call it as fantasy. Fantasy, and of course many people call Marx as romantic, like Max Muller, another romantic. They fantasize us. So the point is, this thing before the society goes to communism, before the state withers away, the class withers away, etc., 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 it is socialism, which is dictatorship of proletariats. Fine. authoritarian dictatorship. It's a dictatorship, and China is there. China is in authoritarian dictatorship. But we have not, Marx has never thought about it, nor the Marxists have never thought about it. What precisely shall be the proletarian dictatorship? They would look at this phenomenon in a very large screen to say that proletarian dictatorship is the people's dictatorship. But who are people supposed to be in a communist country? It's a communist party. There itself things are different. Once it is a communist party where everyone is supposed to be a communist party member, but how many people will be active in a communist party, as known in communist party? So ideally everybody should be sitting together discussing and selecting their leaders, but that doesn't happen. Everyone wants to go for their meetings, everyone can't go for their meetings. So it gradually becomes the dictatorship of the communist party. And again, when you talk about the dictatorship of a communist party, then it is one or other or a group of people who will be real dictators of the party. And those real dictators of the party shall be the real dictators of the nation. Something like, we have it in Congress party. They have this so-called Nehru name that itself is a synthetic name created by Gangadhar. Gangadhar Nehru's original name I don't want to say right now. That Nehru. Just you understand, that Nehru family. So it's their kind of dictatorship in communism. In Congress party in Bharat. Things will go according to their wish. Anybody can be anything if they want, and that's the kind of thing. In communism, in China for example, it is a party's dictatorship. Right now it is Xi Jinping is the party chief, so his dictatorship. But that doesn't mean that he is permanent. There will be, as the Marxian theory itself says, the contradiction, the opposites develops within a system, and the opposite contradicts with the straight. So that is the antithesis and thesis contradiction will happen for a synthesis which will go. Marx would say it will go up until the point in revolution, but for them revolution is supposed to have happened. So in China, there's a possibility of a change in Xi Jinping. And this, of course, let's not be ambitious about a change in China. There can't be any change in China per se, because the system goes as it is. The party system goes as it is. The party people's children will be, youngsters will be going over in Harley Davidson bikes. And the Chinese farmer will still wear that conical cap on his head and use cycles and with 2 shirts. He'll be working in the paddy field, whatever. So that system won't change. The iron curtain thing will remain. What happens in China, no one will know. But with individuals changing on the top, we have some hopes of a better, sensible border policy. The problem Bharat has with China is that their border policy. They will start telling this is mine, that is mine. It's something like a crazy boy who says that also I want, this also I want. This is mine, that's mine. Now that's what they do all around with every borders. They will say Arunachal is mine, Bihar is mine, this thing and that thing. And they wanted to make Buddha theirs. That's a different direction of talking which is happening. They want their own Buddha. Look at the statues in China. This is treated as a joke only. The Chinese Buddha looks like Chinese. Fine, no problem. So they want this is mine, that is mine. That's a problem with China. Our problem with China is with the borders. They are communist. The Xi Jinping, the party's border policy. They want everything from everyone. And they wanted to bully the other nations, like the US bullies. US definitely bullies the other nations. Similarly, China wants to bully and become like US just because they suddenly become rich because of the open market thing. So Chinese communism is, of course, it's not communism at all. It is, they use the dictatorship of the party as a dictatorship, and then they are economically corporate. And once they are corporate with the dictatorship, they will at once become very rich. They will at once become really very rich because they won't give to the people. They are hardly welfare states. So the difference between Europe and China is that Europeans are at least in theoretically supposed to be welfare states, and they are to a large extent welfare states. And these China doesn't bother about the welfare of anyone. They don't care. They don't care. They will amass money, and the money, of course, is safe in the hands of the political leaders. Their party leaders, one party. So there's a possibility that Xi Jinping will change. Somebody is another name I'm hearing. Let it come. So he might be coming. But if he is a little more sensible, and if he's not adamant and so egoist, let them sit with Bharat and defend their own borders. Let them say that this is ours and that is yours, and we will not come anymore. Then from that point onwards, Bharat and China can be good friends, mutually benefiting to them as well as us. There's otherwise no basic enmity between China and Bharat. But there's always one thing. Historically, the communist China had always stabbed others from the back. They cheat. They are deceivers. It happened with Nehru, Jawaharlal, who was Prime Minister, who trusted them. So, until otherwise proven, so long as they are communists, we can't trust them. Communists in name, communists for authority, and capitalists for money. This they have made a synthetic unity of impossible. But then they do it and they live like that. But then they can't be trusted. Their lies and deceit goes with them. Like the idea of taqiyya in with some Islamic nations, they deceive. So communists also deceive. So, but then there's a possibility that this change, if somebody else comes, and if he's a bit more sensible, he will be absolute dictator for at least some time until he's overthrown by somebody else within the party. These are all not revolutions that you see outside. These are all stories that happens inside, and they'll settle among themselves, throw this man out, he'll ignore him, they'll ignore him, and then think about the death of Stalin. They'll ignore this person, Lenin also. They'll ignore these people, and then of course other person will come, he'll run the show. But then if that person is little more rational and sensible, instead of being that grabbing mentality that I want everything from everyone, but if you settle the border issue with Bharat, it will be better for everyone. Actually, it will be better for the whole Asia. And when Asia is strong, Europe will stop playing with us. Europe always had been playing with us at the instance of US, and US is still bullying us. All these things could come to an end. So it's not going to be regime change. China is not going to be democracy. Of course, they are going to be democracy. The whole system will be different. The whole relations will be different. Borders will be open. People can travel to and fro. The Chinese people love people of Bharat, and Bharat people love China. The Chinese Buddhists can come and visit Lumbini. Come to Bodh Gaya. Lumbini is in Nepal. But come to Bodh Gaya and see Saranath. Many places. They can visit Bharat. But that is a far-flung dream of China turning into democracy, because dictatorship they are comfortable with, at least the party is comfortable with, and the people don't have voice to speak against the party. So let's hope that some sensible person comes and the border dispute is settled nicely once for all in black and white. Then we should have no contradiction problem with China. We shall meet again with some other thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.